Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Zuzka Light, and today I'm going to share with you all of the strategies that you're going to need in order to reduce stiffness in your hamstrings and improve your hamstring flexibility, improve your mobility so that you can do things like fold forward and touch your toes, but also in order to reduce any kind of tightness that you might have in your lower back that is causing you back pain. So before we get into all these strategies, let me introduce you to the sponsor of this video, which is the Green Chef. Green Chef is a CCOF certified company that offers options for every lifestyle, including paleo, vegetarian, gluten-free, low-carb, and keto, just to name a few. I love ordering from Green Chef because it allows me to learn new recipes and try new flavors, and it also saves me a lot of time. I don't have to go to the grocery store because all of the high quality ingredients come to my doorstep. And this week I ordered 3 delicious keto meals. Everything is already perfectly pre-measured, so all I have to do is just follow the easy step-by-step recipes that come in the box. This way I get to have fun with cooking gourmet recipes made with variety of organic ingredients, and I get to eat absolutely delicious, wholesome and nutritious meals. This is a very convenient way of supporting an active and balanced lifestyle and getting on the right track with your diet, especially if you're someone who's really busy. And now you can take advantage of a discount code that I have for you guys, so don't miss out on it. Use the code ZUZKA50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Go to greenchef.com for more details. The strategy number 1, if you want to have more supple hamstrings, is to actually strengthen the hamstrings and also the muscles surrounding them. Because nothing in the body works in isolation, first of all. Your muscles don't work in isolation. So if you have tight hamstrings, stiff hamstrings, it's going to affect the muscles that are surrounding your hamstrings as well. And we want to strengthen these muscles because if they are tight, and stiff, then they're probably shortened in some ways, but also weak in other ways. And if you have, for example, if you have weak glutes, lazy glutes, that are not working hard enough to extend your hips, then your hamstrings are gonna have to pick up the slack. And that's what makes them overworked and just exhausted. And you can get that stiffness from weak glutes. But you know, you have to be also strengthening your hamstrings. You have to strengthen the other muscles like your adductors, your quads and your hip flexors, because if those muscles are weak, again, it's going to affect your hamstrings. The second important strategy that cannot be overlooked when it comes to improving your flexibility and mobility is myofascial release, or self-massage. Basically what you do is that you use tools to improve the mobility and flexibility in your muscles and the tissues surrounding these muscles. Self-massage really helps to improve your circulation, and it reduces tension in the muscles, it relaxes them, and it's just overall a great strategy for improving your flexibility. It also gets all of the, because it improves the circulation, it gets all of the gunk out of there, out of the tissues, so that nutrients can come in. And that's very, very important. So what you can do is, for example, you can take your foam roller, you can start with your quads. That's what I do. I really make sure that I mobilize all of the tissues around the hamstrings, not just the hamstrings themselves, but also the quads and the hip flexors and the glutes, because like I said before, nothing in the body happens in isolation. These muscles do not work in isolation. So you have to mobilize all of the muscles around the hamstrings, and then of course the hamstrings themselves as well. So I'm gonna show you a few things that I do to mobilize all of these muscles so that you can try it at home. So what I do for my quads and my outer thighs is that I use the foam roller, because that hurts enough. I tend to have really tight quads, and it's important to remember that healthy tissues do not hurt on compression. So if you do feel pain when you compress your tissues and your muscles, then it just means that you need the myofascial release. So with the foam roller, you can start right above your knee, put your weight on it, pull your abs and make sure that you're mobilizing in a correct way, in a correct position with good form. You don't want to be like slouching and arching your lower back. So make sure that your core is tight, and then you can just go back and forth on that area that hurts. So find that spot that really is tight and really needs your attention, and then just go back and forth until you feel any progress. And you can also bend the knee, extend that leg, so that you can address the tissues from different angles in different ways. And then work your way all the way up slowly, all the way up to the front of the hip. And then once you're done with the quads, you can also do the side of your thigh, and this hurts as hell right now. This is really tight for me. So again, you just go back and forth, and you can bend the knee, extend the knee, and work your way all the way up to the hip, and then switch legs. You always want to mobilize both legs, both sides. When it comes to the hip flexors, I like to use my kettlebell handle because it fits perfectly right here. It gets the psoas nicely. So just make sure that you don't put all of the weight, all of your body weight into the kettlebell. You don't want to hurt yourself. So just support yourself with your elbows and just regulate how much weight you are, putting onto the kettlebell. And then also bend and extend the knee, because that's going to also help you to address all of those tissues from different angles. And make sure that you mobilize, again, both sides. You also don't want to forget your adductors, the inner thighs. For that, you can use roller like this. I also like to use massage gun for my adductors. That feels really good. And then for your glutes, you can just use a simple lacrosse ball. So grab the lacrosse ball and put it under your butt. And again, you are looking for any kind of tender spot. Once you find it, you stay there and you move around on that lacrosse ball. And then also make sure that you're moving the joint, the hip. So open the hip, close it, and then you can also extend the leg, bend the knee, bring it to you. You're gonna feel that the tissues are being addressed in many different ways when you are moving the leg around. It's gonna help you to unglue all of those tissues much better than if you just sit here and do nothing. You have to be active when you're mobilizing. You really have to massage that spot. And make sure that you are not holding your breath, because that's not going to help you either to get more flexible. You have to breathe and imagine yourself even like breathing into that tight, tender spot. Imagine that every breath you take is releasing the tension, because that's going to help a lot. And you might want to also mobilize your calves, because these muscles connect to your hamstrings. So if you have tight calves, it's going to affect these muscles. So one way you can do that is just use your own foot and just squeeze your foot between your calves and your hamstrings and just work your way up. And this also hurts. Ouch. And you want to go slower than this, obviously, and again, you want to spend some time on that tender spot until you feel any progress, until you feel like the tension is, releasing and the pain is subsiding. And then you want to move the foot more up and find another tender spot. And for the hamstrings themselves, I like to use a chair and a lacrosse ball. And I start again closer to the knee, put the lacrosse ball under your leg, and then I'm being actively looking for any tender spots, extending the leg, bending the knee again. You can also slide forward on that lacrosse ball as you extend the knee, and then bend the knee as you slide back. And work your way up until you reach this point where your glutes connect to your hamstrings, because that tends to be also really tender and also really overlooked area for a lot of people. So you want to spend some time there, put your weight into it, move around, be active, and breathe. The third very important strategy for improving your hamstring flexibility is going to be nerve flossing. Because if we can help our nerves to glide smoothly along our muscles, they're going to be very, very happy. And you're going to be happy seeing the results in your hamstring flexibility. Because here's the thing, our nerves do not like to be stretched. They really have to be gliding smoothly through the tissues. And if you have a lot of tightness in your muscles and in those tissues, then the nerves are going to be constricted. They're going to be, pinned down by those tissues. And that's when you're going to start to feel tightness and even pain. So that's why we have to do the myofascial release to unglue all those tissues around the nerves as well. And then we help the nerves even more by flossing them, so it's like flossing. Like when you're flossing your teeth, you're going back and forth. That's what we're doing with the nerves, and we're gonna use the strap for it. So get your exercise mat and a strap. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So for the flossing, you're gonna need a strap and put it around your foot. Now, you want to extend the leg completely, lock the knee, but make sure that your foot is completely relaxed when you're testing where your limit is, because you don't want to put any tension on the nerves. You just want to know where your flexibility is. So you're going to pull gently on the strap until you reach your limit. Means that, when you feel a mild tension, that's where your limit is. That's started to become uncomfortable. So in that position, you want to then just back off just a little bit from there and then start flossing. And you're going to floss by bending the knee and flexing the foot. And then as you extend the knee, you're going to point your toes. And again, you want to feel just a very mild tension. You're not really pulling hard on that strap at all, because remember that the nerves don't like to be stretched. You're just helping the nerves to glide smoothly along your muscles and tissues. So this is what the flossing does, and you want to do maybe 15 reps and then switch legs. When it comes to stretching, it's really important to know that we rely heavily on our nervous system and our brain when it comes to our flexibility. If you're a child, then static stretching is going to be okay for you, but if you're an adult, you're going to need something more than that. Static stretching for adults is kind of a waste of time. So what we need actually is more active mobility exercises. We need to load the muscles, and we need to convince our nervous system that we are strong in the newly acquired range of motion. Because if we don't, then our brain is not going to allow us to keep that new range of motion, right? Because it's trying to protect us. So we have to trick our nervous system in a way, or you can say also that we have to work with it and not against it. So I'm going to show you exercises that will load the muscles and work with your nervous system so that you can continue to make progress and not take one step forward and 2 steps back. One of my favorite stretches for the hamstrings is one-legged loaded good morning stretch. I use 15-pound kettlebell for this. You don't have to use like any heavy weight. I wouldn't even suggest to use any heavy weight, especially if this is, your first time doing this stretch. If you're not used to it, then just stick to a lighter weight, but the weight is gonna help you to convince your nervous system that you are strong in that position. So what you wanna focus on when doing the good mornings, is that hip position. You want your hips to be tilted forward. You want that anterior pelvic tilt. What you don't want is rounded back. You don't wanna be folding forward with your back rounded like this and that posterior pelvic tilt. You really want to arch your back and keep that position, because this is what stretches your hamstrings and it unloads the nerves, remember that what really dictates your flexibility more than anything is your nervous system and your brain. So you have to work with it, not against it. So tilt the hips forward, create that anterior pelvic tilt, arch your back, and just see how far you can go. You can keep both feet on the ground if that's more comfortable for you. I personally really like that one-legged version. So what I do is that most of the weight is on one leg, the other foot is on the ground on its toes, just for balance. That's it. And I keep that knee unlocked. I grab the weight and then I just go as far as it's, comfortable. Once I feel mild tension, I start going a little bit more up with the weight and then down, up and down. Make sure that you pull your abs in towards the spine, up and down. And then I soon feel like my nervous system relaxes a little bit more and I get a better range of motion. And then I switch legs. So that's what I do. Also, another great stretch that I really like is this one, where you just try to decrease the gap between your upper body and your thighs. So you just start in this position by hugging your legs and keeping your upper body glued to your thighs, and then you grab onto your ankles or your calves, and then you just work on extending the legs while keeping your body close to your thighs. And then you just keep extending until you extend them completely. And this, of course, is going to take some time. So don't force anything. Really work with your nervous system, because again, once you start forcing it, your nervous system is gonna freak out and it's gonna tighten everything up and you're not gonna make any progress. You're actually gonna be taking steps back. So you really want to avoid that. So anytime you do these exercises, mobility exercises, any type of stretching like that, you don't want to be overdoing it. Another great stretch for the hamstrings is the runner stretch using PNF method, and you can do it either kneeling on the ground or standing with your heel up on the chair. Either way, there are a few basic rules that you need to follow. The first rule is that your hips need to be tilted forward again. So you don't want to be doing this with rounded back. It's the same thing as what we did when we were standing. The hips need to tilt forward, arch your lower back, send the hips back, and then you want to also make sure that your foot is relaxed, because you don't want to be, putting tension on your nerves. So foot is relaxed, and that way you're gonna get a better stretch in your hamstrings. You can unlock the knee if you need to, or you can keep it locked and just find where your limit is in this position. Again, you don't want to be forcing anything. The moment you feel a mild stretch or mild tension, then you want to start implementing the PNF method. So the first thing you want to do is to dig your heel into the ground, and imagine you want to drag your heel towards you as if you wanted to bend your knee. That's going to engage your hamstrings. And you want to hold this actively for 10 seconds, then release, and then you want to lift the leg up and engage these muscles, your hip flexors. Hold for 10 seconds, and then find if you have improved. And you should feel at least a slight improvement and deeper range of motion. And you can hold that position for about 30 seconds. That's the only time you're ever gonna hold a static stretch. And after the 30 seconds, you can relax, give yourself a little break. You can switch legs at this point and do the same thing on the other leg. And then you can repeat this 3 times in one session. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, give me thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. And if you want to get strong and flexible doing what I do, then sign up for Z Gym at zuzkalite.com and we can work out together on a daily basis. So that's it for today, and I'll see you guys next time here on my YouTube channel or in the Z Gym. Ciao!